My name is Cecilia. I'm the co-founder of Consume. We are a rapid grocery delivery service here in Accra. So anything you want, groceries, you can just go on our shop or on our online store, Consume, and we'll deliver it to you within 60 minutes in Accra. So that's what I do. So I'm a mother to a 3-year-old girl, very adventurous, brave little one. And being a mother to a daughter, it's been quite interesting. It's been one of the best things that have happened to me. I see her every day. I look at her and I'm like, wow, this is actually my child. But then again, being a mother and the parenting journey is not so rosy like people think it is. Like there are days that with the development, there are days that it gets tough, but we just pull through. So yeah. So we were consciously making the effort to have a baby because the year prior we lost a child. So after that, we were like, after the whole healing process, we're like, we want to have another child. We want to try to have a baby again. So I think every month I'll check to see if my period was going to come or not. And then every time I saw my period, I was so disappointed because I was really hoping and praying to have a baby. And then when I missed my period, I was at home. It wasn't a surprise to me because we had been actively planning to have a child. So I was at home, my husband was at home, and then I just walked to him and I was like, yay, we're having a baby. But I was super nervous because I was like, oh my God, what if we lose this baby too? So we just decided we're not going to tell anyone. We're just going to keep it to ourselves. So we knew we had gone past the first trimester and then we'll share the news. But yeah, it was a tough pregnancy, I would say, yeah. So we actually had a stillbirth when I was almost 7 months, the first time. So after we had the stillbirth, I sort of shut my friends out, shut family out. I was just devastated because I didn't expect to lose a baby. And for me, I think it was negligence on the part of the doctors as well. So I blamed myself, I blamed my husband, I blamed the doctors. I just couldn't fathom the fact that, why did it have to happen to me? And then after the whole induction, baby came, everything, we sort of just took it easy, decided we were going to go for some counseling to see how things will go because I was in the darkest place in my life. I've never experienced that before. I never thought I would be at that lowest point ever in my life. So when it happened, I was like, I need to leave. And I was fortunate enough to be able to leave the country. So I was like, we have to leave. I want to go elsewhere because of all the memories. I spent time in this house communicating with this baby. He was almost 7 months. And now I feel like if I'm in the same space, I'm going to go lose my mind. So we left. And that was when I started going to counseling. And then when I got pregnant again, I was really happy. But I was nervous. I was very paranoid. I thought it's going to happen again. We're going to lose the baby again. So instead of going to the doctors every month, I was going every week because they thought that was the way for me to cope with the pregnancy. So every week I would go just so they can see the heartbeats and I can hear the heartbeats, and then I'll feel okay, and then I'll go home. But then even within the week I'll go again, and I'm like, I really want to hear the child's heartbeat because I'm not feeling the movements. It was the most paranoid, scariest pregnancy ever because I didn't want to share the news with anyone. I didn't tell family, I didn't tell friends, only my mother, my father, and my in-laws knew. And we just kept it a secret till the baby was there, and we finally told people yeah, we have a baby. The pregnancy on its own was not tough. I worked the whole 7-8 months, but the paranoia and the anxiety it didn't make me enjoy the pregnancy as much as I should have. Because I was always every time I didn't feel that the baby move, I'll get nervous and then I'll quickly go to the gynecologist. I'm like, please, I really need to hear the baby's heartbeat. Every time I felt something, I'd start crying. I'm thinking, oh, maybe I lost the baby again. So the pregnancy on its own was smooth. I didn't have any of the morning sickness, none of those. It was very smooth. But the anxiety and the paranoia did not make me enjoy the pregnancy as much as I should have. So it was just always thinking the worst, like, I'm going to lose this baby. And then when the 6-month period started, that's when they hit me, because that was when I lost the baby. So I was like, oh my God, 6 months. If I can make it through the 6 months, like, I'll be so happy. I'll thank you, God. So after 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, and then when like the labor day came, I was like, I just want to have this baby in one piece, and I just want to take the baby home in one piece. So like, just God, see me through, because I don't have the energy to like go through what I've been through again. During the pregnancy, the things I used to do was I'd go for walks. So I'll take long walks. And then the doctor was very helpful. My gynecologist she was the best. Every time I had issues, I felt something was not right, I'd call her, she'd tell me to come in. And also just really being open, like, and communicating with my partner, because every time I didn't feel okay, he was the only one I was living with, and he was the only one I could talk to about how I was feeling. So I'll just like, we'll talk about it, and then I'll go for walks, do things that would try to get my mind off like being pregnant. But I was working at the same time, so it was good for me, because I'd go to work, see my colleagues, and they'll be happy for me, but deep down I was nervous. And then like as I started showing, I got even more nervous and paranoid, because I'm like, oh my God, now the whole world can see my pregnancy. And I don't know like if this pregnancy is even going to hold, because the first one, the whole world could see it. And then after losing the baby, people are like, oh, how's your baby? And you're like, oh, I don't have a baby, I lost the baby. And I was like, oh God, like I just can't go through that again. So for me, it was more, my mom used to visit a lot just to make sure I'm okay. My husband used to like be very supportive, go with me to the appointments every time. I'll go for walks, go to work, try to get my mind off the pregnancy. Yeah, but enjoying it was quite tough. Like I don't think I enjoyed the pregnancy, even though I should have. I didn't. Yeah. So Labor Day, the day before, that was the 27th of December 2018. We went out shopping after Christmas, went for dinner, my sister, my husband and myself. And then we go to bed, but I ate a lot of spicy food. And I was about 38 weeks pregnant at the time. So around 3-4 a.m., I could feel like, I was feeling funny. And I was like, okay, this feels like period pains, but extreme period pains. So I was just like, okay, because prior to that, they had told me about Braxton Hicks, and you have like pre-labor contractions and all of that. So I was like, okay, it's probably one of those. And then around 6 a.m., I was like, no, I feel like the baby is coming. This is it. So I called my husband. I'm like, no, I think the baby is coming. And then he was just taking his time to wear his shoes. I'm like, and I started shouting, I'm like, the baby is coming. We have to leave now. Like, why are you taking your time? Like, you're not in a rush. I feel like the baby is coming. So we called a taxi, sat in the taxi. And at that point, my labor went so fast. It was around 7 a.m. We got to the hospital. And then I said to them, I think the baby is coming. This was not in Ghana. This was outside of Ghana. It was in Germany. So I said to them, the baby is coming. And the midwife on duty was like, oh, I don't think you're ready, because I can't see I can't monitor the contraction. It's not regular. So you just wait a bit and then I'll attend to you. And I kept saying, no, I think the baby is coming. Don't you have to check? And she was like, no, we can't see a regular contraction. You're not there yet. You're in labor, but it's still very like at the beginning stages. So that's when I was like, no, I kept telling my sister and my husband, like, no, the baby is coming. I can feel the movement in my stomach, that there's like the baby is moving. So finally, I think the screaming was too much. And then they used their fingers, 2 fingers or something, checked. And she was like, oh, you're 7 centimeters dilated. That's when they took me serious. At that point, I had tested, I've forgotten what the name of the bacteria was. So I tested positive for a certain bacteria. And they said before I have the baby, I have to go to the hospital. So they give me antibiotics so I don't pass it on. It's strep B bacteria. I have to get antibiotics so I don't pass it on to the baby. But because they delayed so much, they couldn't give me the antibiotics. So I gave birth, but the baby had contracted this strep B. And that was a whole nother ball game, because first of all, the labor, it went so fast. So we got that between 7 and 10 a.m. I delivered. But while I was like pushing, I tore, and instead of them taking their time, they cut me as well. So I tore and they cut me. So I was there like in so much pain. It was a very gruesome like sight. And then like they sewed me up, checked the baby, did all the tests, and then they were like, okay, the baby looks like she's contracted this strep B, so we'll have to take her and run some more tests. So that was the labor. And then after they took the baby, did the tests, and they were like, okay, they have to keep the baby in the ICU for some few days because they have to give the baby antibiotics as well to clear the bacteria, the strep B bacteria. So that was another challenge. So after giving birth, now I had to deal with a baby being in the ICU for about 3-4 days so they can give her antibiotics. And it was like a brand new baby with like drips all over. And now as a mother, like when you see that, it ruins the whole like having a baby, because like, wow, I finally had a baby and I have to deal with the emotions of the baby being in ICU and having bacteria. So there was this level of guilt as well, because I was like, I made the baby sick. Now the baby is in the ICU. But after that, it's sort of, after 4 days, the baby was okay. They tested, the baby didn't have strep B anymore. And that was on the 5th day was when they finally discharged us. But the labor on its own went really fast. Between like 7, 10 a.m., 3 hours, the baby was out. But yeah, I wish they had taken me seriously when I said I can feel the baby coming. Yeah. The most amazing feeling ever. Like when I saw the baby and I held the baby, I was like, this is my child. Like I finally have a baby. It was an amazing feeling. It's a feeling I don't think any mother can ever describe. And I think even for fathers as well, I don't think they can even like grasp like that they have a child, a brand new baby, and you're responsible for this new human being. And like you're ready to risk it all for this human being. Like the minute I felt that baby, I was like, I'm going to do everything to protect you. Like I'm going to give you everything, do anything for you. So it was just this instant love. Like my heart was just like overwhelmed with joy. Yeah, that's the feeling I had. Having a good support system, that really like makes me happy. Having parents who can jump in, having a sister who's hands-on and not just like there, and seeing the child like you've brought into this world growing up every day, that brings me so much joy. That really, like, for me is the highlight. Like seeing every minute, like she's growing taller, she's becoming more assertive, she's voicing out her opinion, she's developing, she walks, she talks. For me, it's like having a healthy child, for me is the highlight of it all. Like I'm grateful every day for a child who can talk, can walk, can see, can hear, can do everything like children can do. Because sometimes I'm like, I see people who have children with special needs and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how they do it. But it's just, everyone and their journey. But for me, it's just having a healthy child, seeing her grow, it's one thing I'm always grateful for. One of the hardest is juggling work and family. Because if you're a full-time employee and then trying to juggle having a child, it's a different ball game altogether, because you need to figure out who's going to drop the child at nursery, who's going to pick up the child at nursery. If you have to pay someone to help you take care of the child, it's just juggling motherhood with a career. It's not easy. It's no child's play. And I'm sure dads feel it too, but they don't feel it as much, because as mothers, we are the ones who are hands-on. Like we're the ones constantly taking care of the child. Like we are really full on, like mothers. Fathers are there, they support, they help, but I feel like mothers, we have a huge responsibility. And juggling that, a family life, juggling having a child, juggling having a full-time job, and then having a husband, and then a social life. If you want to have a social life, that's even, like right now, I don't even think I have a social life. I'm sure people are like, oh, she's boring. Like after she had a baby, if you call her, you say, oh, let's go somewhere, she'll say she doesn't have time. Sometimes I feel like people don't understand how much work is involved in taking care of a child. You can't just go and dump the child somewhere and say, I'll come back next year and come for you. Like, that's your child. You have to, and you're not just, the child is not just there. You have to train them and raise them so they can become responsible adults in future. They can have the qualities that you want to see in a human being. They can be respectful, they can be kind, they can be humble, they can be courageous, they can be brave, they can be bold and confident. It's not easy. You can't just do everything you want. Like, you have to really lay the foundation, and trying to juggle it all is one of the hardest challenges of being a mother. Yeah. Now you need to find the right person, because you can't just leave your child with just anybody. You can't just go and then the first person who suggests a babysitter, you're like, oh yeah, sure. There's so many things you have to take into consideration before you even invite someone into your home. Does the person have the experience to take care of a child? Does the person have the skills to take care of the child? Does the person bond with my child? Does this person know basic, maybe first aid if the child has a cut burn? Does this person know what to do? There's just so many things. Maybe young 21st century moms, these are the things we take into consideration. The time my mother had a baby, maybe she had to work, she would just leave me with, it was a compound house, leave me with my grandma. My grandma is going somewhere, leave me with the neighbor, But these days, mothers, I feel like mothers, we make the conscious effort to be there for the children. Our fathers also make the conscious effort to be there. It's not just fathers who go to work, come in the evening, child is asleep, this is the money for nursery, this is the money for babysitter. No, we have most young men now are hands-on. They help in raising the child, they help in taking the child to nursery, they help in picking up the child, feeding, changing diapers, cleaning. A lot of young men are hands-on. So it's just, we don't have it rosy like that. You can't just, oh yeah, I have a babysitter, yeah, sure, take my child, and it's done. You really want to know the person before you actually invite them to take your child. If the child doesn't like the person, doesn't bond with the person, then unfortunately, as much as you bond with the person, that's it. It's a lost cause. You have to find someone else. Yeah. The first time you breastfeed, the first week or two you breastfeed, is so painful. And this is something no one tells you. They just assume once you have a baby, you breastfeed and that's it. But the first few days of breastfeeding, it's so painful. Your nipples are sore. Every time the baby tries to drink milk, you're in pain. You're you want to cry. And no one tells you this. Final words. Sometimes I say to myself, I wish I knew certain things before I had a baby. I wish someone will, I wish people who have babies are honest with their experience and not sugarcoated and oh, having a baby is great. It's brilliant. No, tell us the truth. Tell us your labor experiences, share it with us. Your post-birth experiences, share it with us, because there's so many things I didn't know. We need to have mothers, motherhood, communities. And for me, I think this is one of the best platforms yet, because this is the only way Ghanaian mothers can learn about all these developmental changes, all these milestones. This is the only way to do it. The West are doing it. They have forums, they have apps that you can download. You can check how the baby's head is supposed to grow, what size, how the baby's growth is supposed to go. They show you when you enter the baby's weight, the size, the head, centimeters, whatever. They show you how the baby's supposed to grow. And I feel as Ghanaians, we need to also do this for ourselves. No one is going to show us how to do it. And channels like these are the best platforms for young mothers to learn about other people's experiences and to also come on board and support each other as much as they can.
Thank you for watching this video, and please don't forget to subscribe to DromoBaby. You're on Instagram as DromoBaby, YouTube DromoBaby, Facebook DromoBaby.